where we discuss all things of Earth and outer space, where we divine to pass the time, and no one can put us down or in our place. Grab your tea leaves or your spirits and gather around. The embers are glowing, warm flames abound. The hallowed hearth welcomes you now.
Every great play begins with a single voice in the dark. I'm Katie Lynn Wolfe, and for years my life has been lived in the space between the scripted and the supernatural. But magic, much like the theater, is rarely a solo performance. The strongest energy is woven when different paths cross and different voices harmonize. To truly explore the heights of the craft and the depths of the spirit, I've invited two other practitioners to this table. We're three different witches with three different ways of seeing the unseen, and together we're peeling back the veil. Joining me and bringing a perspective from the front lines of the unknown, someone who walks into the places most people run from to find the truth behind the veil. Please welcome our resident paranormal investigator, Rachel Ravensvale. Hello.
Sister.
Hello, sister.
Recent works. Recent.
It does. It really does. You're constantly investigating.
Yes.
Yes. And rounding out our triad with an energy that bridges the gap between folklore and the physical, a creator who breathes life into the things that go bump in the night through her incredible line of cryptid companions. We have Haley Hansen. Hello, sister.
How are you, loves?
Oh, good. Good. How are you?
Hanging in.
I was telling her I'm surviving at the.
Yes, we have made it through another week.
Gosh, and like we just had I was telling Katie that we just had like a massive thunderstorm that came through, like 20,000 like people in Nashville without power right now. So I was like, oh, am I gonna have power? Is it gonna? I was like, please.
Weather has not been our friend these past couple of weeks.
It is not. Thursdays have been crazy.
Seriously.
Yeah. But it came through so fast. Like I'm still not used to like those thunderstorms like that. We didn't have them out in California.
Yeah.
It was like perfect. Like 30 minutes before, it was like beautiful. The sky was like just sunny, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, it's getting a little windy here. It was like
storms in the Midwest are no joke.
And then it was like hailing too. I put a quick video up of it because I was like, this is nuts,
And now it's probably back to super calm and like 68 degrees outside.
Yeah, it totally is. It's like nothing ever happened. I'm like, what the?
We will make a Midwest girl out of you yet. You'll be like me. You'll hear the wind and be like, the neighbor's shutters aren't flapping. It's fine.
Exactly.
All right, Dorothy.
Well, you'll see where you are. You'll see a lot of the old timers standing out on their porches, watching the storm come in. Not a care in the world, just watching it.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. They have no fear.
Yeah. Well, that's like, to me, like people are freaked out about earthquakes, and like you just get used to them, and most of them they're just so benign. But then like, we have once, I think the last big one was in 1989, and so and that did a lot of damage. Like a freeway collapsed. It was like an upper deck and a lower deck freeway, and crashed and killed a lot of people that were on. It was commute time. It was like the World Series was happening between San Francisco and the Giants in the Oakland. So it was like a Bay Bridge series. I can remember I was like, ooh, I'm going to date myself. I was about was that 14? Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, when it happened. I can still remember it to like this day. But like, you know, my husband, he had never experienced earthquakes, and they experienced one while we were still there. And he like woke me up out of dead sleep. He's like, I think we're having an earthquake. And I said, go back to sleep.
Right, if I'm sleeping through it, we're fine.
Exactly. He's like, everything is shaking. Yep. That's the way it works.
Really only
And
been
we
through
don't put this heavy stuff up high.
My sister and I were in a swimming pool during an earthquake one time. That was crazy.
Yeah.
The water, oh my gosh, thought a bomb had gone. It was wild.
That's crazy. It sounds fun though.
In
For a
hindsight,
minute. Yeah, if you're like
it's
sick.
exploding. We
Yeah.
lived to tell the tale. We're like, okay, that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, everything is fine. Everything is fine.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness. Well, we have a very exciting guest on tonight. I'm super jazzed. So
Same.
let's go ahead and do our card.
Who's stopping?
I think
Huh?
I did last time, so it's your
I'll
turn.
start this time.
Okay.
And now.
Okay. So our top one is ooh, judgment.
Dun,
Oh.
dun,
I know. All the signs say, wait, was this our same card from last week?
I
No,
don't think
Our-
so.
It sounds
Last
so
week
much.
it was something different. I forget
All
what
the
it was.
signs say you're exactly where you're supposed to be. But our message was similar last week.
yeah, man.
Yes.
I thought we had temperance or something last week.
Let's see.
But it said something like something similar. Yeah. That you said something like you're on the right path and
Yeah.
Maybe
Huh. Okay.
we're going to have to roll back the tapes.
I know.
Oh, yeah. No, we haven't read this description.
Okay.
Okay. Going about her day as usual, the witch catches something out of the corner of her eye. In her flower box, she finds a white feather, a sign she's begun to associate with her spirit guides. Perhaps you too have been receiving signs that shouldn't be ignored. If
Mhm.
not, then this card very well may be the sign. But what does it mean? Well, it can mean anything you want it to mean, but you may choose to take it as confirmation that your guides are around you and offer you their unconditional love and support. Though it may not be clear to you now, your current ideas and actions are aligned with your soul's purpose. Less questioning, more trust.
Love it.
I do too.
That resonates really well with a lot of stuff.
Well, there you go. See, this was Rachel's card tonight. Haley picked it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Haley.
I was expecting like the tower or something, so I'll take it.
Exactly.
Well, we are continuing on with cryptids because it is still April. So,
Good.
Rachel, what are we doing tonight?
Oh my gosh. I think we have an amazing guest. I can kind of give my little intro spiel on her. So for centuries, we're told of creatures that shouldn't exist, whispers of things that are just beyond the tree line, a glimpse of, I can't even read because I have no glasses. It's a glimpse in the dead of night, felt more than seen. The chupacabra, the mothman, the Sasquatch. Monsters, we call them. But what if we had it wrong all along? What if these beings aren't myths, but a hidden world? Just moving quietly alongside our own, watching, waiting, surviving. Tonight we gather at the hearth with the author and artist J.D. Donnelly, the mind behind Crypto Zoo, a story that dares to ask the question, what if the monsters are hiding from us? Through her work, they're no longer just creatures of fear. They are beings with culture, identity, and a story of their own. And tonight we'll step into that world. exploring the veil between folklore, imagination, and something that might be far more real than we're ready to admit. So dim the lights, gather around the hearth, lean in a little closer, listen carefully, and welcome JD to our circle.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so happy you're here.
Yeah, thank you for finding me out in the woods, so to speak. So glad I could make it tonight.
Absolutely.
Yes, we're anxious to learn more about you. And you just tell their viewers a little bit more about you and your world.
Okay, so I dual wield as an artist and a writer. I like to say I'm a purveyor of creatures real, extinct, and fantastical. So I'm a huge zoology nerd, paleontology nerd. I was a huge Jurassic Park kid growing up. I had the Dilophosaurus tattooed on my arm, as well red pandas and whale sharks and corgis and all kinds and thylacines. And I've always been a huge fan of dragons and mythical beasts and cryptids. Like my artist handle is painting dragon feathers. And that comes from a different story of mine that I'm also working on because I have my dragons. My version of dragons are mammalian and feathered and furred. And that's a whole other story. But the one that is in print now is my young adult novel, paranormal fantasy called Crypto Zoo. It is my debut, first book in print.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I wrote the story and illustrated the cover art. My darling husband helped with the technical formatting to make it look nice on the page and the ebook formatting, which is a pain in the butt. And I was very fortunate to find a pair of very talented actresses who tackled the audiobook version. And they did a phenomenal job. Like it is very, very surreal to hear your characters fall out of someone else's mouth.
That's so cool.
But yeah, so my day job is I go around to Comic Cons, sci-fi fantasy cons, cryptid cons, folklore festivals, literary events, all kinds of events, and do I sell my artwork and I sell my books. I also do lectures, like academic lectures, like on writing at panels and conferences. Because I'm also a member of SCBWI, the Society of Children's Writers and Illustrators. And once upon a time, I did have a brief tenure as a dinosaur artisan, making fossil replicas for museums and private collectors. So yes,
so freaking
dinosaur artisan is a viable career path. So now I just use those silicon mold making and resin casting skills to make more original mythozoological specimens. So I can ethically sell unicorn horns and griffin claws and whale ear teeth with no creatures or cryptids they're creating.
That's amazing.
totally busy. Yes, I love all of that.
I know. It sounds like right up your alley.
Yes, as a like calls to like. I see your nicely crafted beastie babies online, Haley.
Thank you.
Yeah, is it do you hand sculpt with polymer the hard parts and then sew the bodies, or is it like a resin casting? Or
I do hand sculpting with epoxy.
Nice.
It's so fun. I was telling the ladies before, the whole process is so crazy because they're like, oh my gosh, is this awful? Is this the worst thing ever? And then all of a sudden it comes alive. You're like, oh my God, I'm in love.
Oh yeah, like a project, it's 75% in the ugly phase. And then the last 25, it starts to come together.
Oh, cute. Look at my face. Yeah, absolutely. I love art. It's the best.
And you did the background behind you too, right?
Yes, this is actually my banner I have on my booth, my newest banner. And this actually is a tarot image I did because I have contributed to collaborative tarot decks where each card is done by different artists from around the world. There's a couple different groups I've worked with. This was for a dragon themed deck, for all the cards were dragon themed, and this was the Wheel of Fortune card. And I did Asian noodly dragon with the bullfish. Because are you familiar with the legend of the carp and the dragon? Question?
No.
So it started in China because the myth is based around the Yellow River, which is in China, but it's pollinated across all of East Asia. But the idea is that carp swim up the Yellow River through 7 cataracts. a number of cataracts that is escaping me at the moment. Probably some sacred number, though. We'll say 7 for the sake of the story. 7 cataracts. And if they manage to jump through all the waterfalls, when they do the final jump at the final waterfall, they transform into dragons. And that's where they believe dragons come from. And it's often used as a metaphor for, like the studious student, working hard to accomplish your goals. It's where the Pokemon Magikarp and Gyarados come from. It's a reference to that legend. That's why the derpy little Magikarp fish evolves into this big bad dragon.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of
Or-
there's so much mythology and cryptids in Pokemon.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's probably what makes them like be around for so long and interested, but like having so many people, want to still, even adults, I mean, that were obviously kids, still love to do.
By far my best sellers, I make Pokeball dioramas, and
Those
they
are
are my bread and
cool.
thank you. They are my bread and butter. They are my most requested. They, at this point, help fund and cover the bills for the original stuff. But I'm happy to report that a lot of my original works and now CryptoZoo is starting to pace with them. So
That's
you
great.
see the writing is kicking off properly, and I am working on the sequel, slowly but surely.
That's
And
great.
nothing helps the first book like getting the second book out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
So I know you kind of describe yourself as a part-time cryptid. What does that actually mean to you, spiritually, or is that more creatively?
I say more creatively because I'm like, honestly, it has to do with my schedule is so busy. A lot of times it's kind of random when I can show up. And I jokingly say I work like a cicada. I spend long periods of time underground in my studio, come out screaming for a weekend for a Comic-Con, and then go back to my underground in my studio to make more stuff.
I love
I love that.
But I did grow up in the woods. I'm based out of Pittsburgh now, but growing up, I was actually, I say I tell most people Johnstown. I was actually in the woods outside of Wimber, which is a smaller town outside of Johnstown. So I lived in an area where there was more deer than people. Like you only see your neighbors through the winter, winter when the trees are bare and the lights are off in the distance. So yeah. So but yeah, so I've been a creature fanatic and creative person since I was a tiny tot. This is kind of like I like to say I'm stubborn like a salmon. This is what I want to do and what I'm doing. And I'm very fortunate that I have a tribe that is very family and friends that are very supportive and fans too. It's weird. I'm like, oh my god, I'm starting to get a fan base. But that's allowing me to create these cool crafts and creatures and stories and share them with people. And I count myself very fortunate to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Mhm.
Do you ever remember the first cryptid or creature that you kind of felt more real to you than just a story?
So when I was really young, I glommed onto the Loch Ness Monster because it is the quintessential cryptid. I am also a dinosaur, going from a dinosaur tot to Nessie.
It's
these
a
days, these days I say I'm a fan of anything plesiosaur shaped.
Yes.
And to the point that when I was I was once upon a time I was in a Catholic school, and there was exactly 2 supernatural-esque books in their library. One was, I can't even remember what the other one was, but one was a book about the Loch Ness Monster. And I may or may not still have that on my bookshelf 30 years later because I never returned it. So, and then there was a certain one I gravitated towards. I became a big fan of the Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, to the point that now CryptoZoo, the main character, is a Chupacabra, and the other main character is the Jersey Devil. But it's just learning more and more about all kinds of cryptids through a literary and folkloric lens and biology. I do feel cryptids, they fall under there's like different categories of cryptids. Like some I definitely feel more fit into the realm of folklore and story, and some I do think like there is a possibility. Like okay, there is sound zoological evidence that may indicate that there's something more tangible going on because there is like there are a lot of known animals now that were once upon time classified as cryptids, like
Right.
the platypus or the okapi or the gorilla was once considered a cryptid.
Honestly, I think platypus are weirder than most cryptids out there.
Wasn't like
Not
the
big.
It's the only animal you can get an omelet from because you can get the milk and the egg.
Oh my gosh. And then get stung by them too, right? Aren't they doing
Yes, the males, only the males are venomous.
crazy? Oh.
And they glow under black light.
Right? They're aliens or something. I don't know.
yeah, they sound like aliens.
Monotremes.
Wasn't like the giant squid, like before they actually were able to
Yeah.
see them really deep, was considered a cryptid. They thought
Exactly,
They thought that. And the other one's like the coelacanth, like that ginormous fish that's been around since the Jurassic era or something. Like
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
can you
look.
imagine like trying to describe a giraffe to somebody who has never seen one before
It's
and make them
kind of like
believe
a
that that's a real
fallen-
animal?
In medieval times, giraffes were called camel leopards.
I love that actually.
And there's a mythical beast. There's a medieval mythical beast called the Lurquata. I've only ever seen written. I haven't heard it pronounced. But basically, if you read how it's described, it's like, okay, that's like a very exaggerated hyena.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Huh.
I know in your book in Crypto Zoo, cryptids have more of like a culture, rules, or even like fear of humans. Do you see it as more like a hidden society?
Lol, Kraken. I see it in the I see the chat in the corner now.
Thanks, man.
So the onus about Crypto Zoo, it's like I've always gravitated towards animal creatures and animal characters. In fact, it was actually quite recently I found from a congoer there is a term for that kind of fiction. It's called xenofiction. Xenofiction is any fiction written from a non-human perspective, whether that be alien, animal, creative creature, robot, what have you. Some famous examples include The Lion King, Watership Down, Warrior Cat, Wings of Fire. So I've always been drawn to animal characters, an animal point of view. And so when I first got the idea for Crypto Zoo, actually where I first got the idea for Crypto Zoo was I randomly in college drew a picture of a chupacabra, a Sasquatch, and the Jersey Devil drinking together. And like,
Gosh, I need to see that.
I say I do have it like in the depths of my social media. But yeah, it's like I drew the chupacabra with like Bloody Marys made from actual blood. Jersey Devil was with his dark red wine. Sasquatch had blood. But I was like, okay, these are cool characters. What's their story? And so I did first come up with the idea of Crypto Zoo at college and worked on it since. And like one of the reasons I wanted to write from the cryptids perspective, aside from it being very fun, is like I want to do something different than like just the X-Files. Like it's always like a duo of people investigating, whether it be Scully and Mulder, or Sam and Dean, or Dresden. Like it's always like from the outsider going in, like a human perspective going in, which makes sense literally because you're assuming your audience is human. You got to like have the frame of reference. I mean, if you can even see it in stuff like Percy Jackson and Harry Potter. You have the outsider learning about the weird world, and that's also the same pace that the audience is. So for a variety of reasons, I wanted to draw from the cryptid viewpoint, and it's funny that you mentioned the coelacanth and like other like animals that were thought to be cryptids and then turned real, because one of the things I built into the world and like what differentiates a cryptid from an animal in my story at least. Keep in mind this is mileage for Crypto Zoo, not like other like grander schemes or what have you. is that once upon a time, every species had what's called an immortid or a pair of immortids. And as they're basically the immortal progenitors of that species. And as Cleo so describes it, think of Noah's Ark, but without the old guy or the boat. So, so like at one point, and all species had sentience, like could talk to each other, they had powers and stuff like that. And then something happened that called the Great Broken Geas. And when the Great Broken Geas happened, the curse of man's evil eye came about. And what that means is after that happened, now whenever a human sees an immortid, it has to be an immortid. It can't be the mortal progeny are kind of safe from this, but if an immortid is seen directly in the eye by a human, then they lose their sentience. A whole species are rendered animal. They're dumb. They lose their sentience. They lose their powers. They become animal because then they are understood and believed by man. So at one point in the story, Cleo, there's an immortid council held. So basically what cryptids are, they are species, their immortids are still around. They have not been rendered animal, and they are hiding. Because obviously if they're seen, then all their progeny, all their species, however there may be many be left, will be rendered animal. And under mankind's thumb, so to speak. And as Cleo, at one point in the story, she gets summoned to an immortid council because a dire thing happens. And so, it's unheard of that Cleo, a mere mortal chupacabra, is summoned to the immortid council led by Mothman themselves. And she sees all these carved eyes on the walls, and it marks all the species from beavers to blue whales that have been lost to man's evil eye.
Wow.
And then all the cryptid immortid species are present in person in creature. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So do you personally think cryptids are physical creatures, interdimensional creatures, spiritual entities, or something else entirely?
I think it's a case-by-case basis personally. Like Jersey Devil, as much as I love the Jersey Devil, I do feel he fits. He's definitely in folklore. He is of history because I do a creature design lecture. I talk about how to design creatures and where to draw inspiration from for your stories and writing. And a quote I use from another academic named Charles Dunbar, who does really fascinating anthropology lectures at cons, usually around Japanese culture. But it's something he did, a quote he said at a panel about yokai, which are Japanese ghost ghouls and monsters, that stuck with me, was if you want to understand what a culture fears, look at its monsters. So, Jersey Devil, what were colonial Americans afraid of? Witches and British people. Because the famous version of the legend is 13th child of a witch, or Satan's the baby daddy, or Mother Leeds was tired of popping out kids, so she cursed her 13th child to be a devil. But then there is a lesser known version of the legend I found in my research that supposedly the Jersey Devil may be the result of a union between a colonial girl shacking up with a British soldier. That's the lesser known version I've heard of. And there's also concrete evidence that Benjamin Franklin made up the Jersey Devil to slander his almanac publishing rival Daniel Leeds.
That's my favorite. And the Leeds crest had a dragon on it. So yeah, it's such a cool story. The more you dig into it, the crazier it gets. But yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, if there's any cryptid, I think there's a strong chance of being a real zoological animal. Other than there's a lot of weird stuff in the deep sea. Not megalodons, no. Megalodons are extinct. Can there be other large species of sharks? Yes. Are they megalodons? No. That's a pet peeve of mine. But I think Sasquatch is a prime candidate to be a real biological animal because primates are notoriously shy and hard to study. And case in point, look at gorillas and orangutans. They were once considered cryptids. And there's also a lot of concrete evidence of the sightings matching migrant, food sources like the blueberries come in the season. That's when the sightings happen.
Right.
They've found individual footprints like adults versus juveniles versus yeah. That's why like in my story in Crypto Zoo, some of the cryptids are species. Some of them are just the singular immorted, like Mothman and Jersey Devil, because like those particular cryptids are the Mothman and the Jersey Devil. So, but chupacabras are a species, and like chupacabras, like I truly ascribe to the sarcoptic mange theory of an animal, where it's just coyotes or raccoons even. Fun fact, if you Google like wolf skull on Google, most of the results are actually raccoon skulls because they look very canine.
I know so many people have the wrong tattoos on their bodies. It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like, and like, believe me, when you encounter an animal in the wild, in a blur, in a haze, you don't know what you saw. Like, as the saying goes, anything could be an unidentified object if you suck at identifying stuff. So, like, I know, like, actually, the one cryptid show I really, really liked was Monster Quest on History Channel.
Yeah, and then
Because they did a lot of actual scientific stuff, and they did a lot to try to disprove everything before they're like, okay, but maybe there's something weird, air quote, going on. And like I know that on the Mothman episode, they did a test where they made a couple different cutouts of different sizes of Mothman, from like a 2-foot standee to like a 12-foot standee. And they had people like they basically set up like a haunted hayride. And they had their test of like people ride on the haunted hayride, and then afterwards, like spot these Mothman silhouettes in the trees, and like afterwards, like, okay, how many did you see and how big they were? And a lot of them were over exaggerated on how big they were. So, yeah, but like, yeah, so I really do feel it varies by cryptid to cryptid basis.
Gotcha. I mean that makes sense.
And as the bard said, because you opened with that lovely Shakespearean quote, Katie, there are stranger things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
True.
Yeah. I agree. So do you think cryptids they're like part of ourselves that we don't want to face?
It can be. Like, and I was gonna say, mileage will vary. In a lot of ways, in recent years, especially, the LGBTQTA community has glommed onto cryptids, probably because cryptids are other, and that's a population that has been othered. And that's another reason I like to write from a non-human perspective, because it's an exercise in empathy to like get into a very different viewpoint and personality of what you're used to, and when you have a non-human character. Oh, sorry, what?
I said we definitely need a lot more of that. People need to learn to empathize, and I love that.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, so yeah, no, but people glom onto monsters, people glom onto cryptids, like whether it be a slasher movie monster or folklore, or urban legend, or whatnot. People are fascinated with the other, whether they see themselves in it or not.
Yeah, I noticed that your version of Mothman feels like prophetic. What role do you think Mothman plays in our collective consciousness?
Well, with the Mothman Festival, it's bringing a lot of commerce to a small Appalachian town, which is awesome. Other towns are taking pages out of it, because I'm from Johnstown. We now have Squonkapalooza, because Pennsylvania state cryptid is the squonk. Have any of y'all heard of the squonk?
I don't know a lot about it. I have heard of it, but please enlighten our viewers.
So it comes from Pennsylvanian lumberjack folklore, and it was featured in the book from like the 1800s called The Fearsome Critters of the Lumber Woods. It's in the public domain. You can find the book, which is full of all kinds of weird, not weird, but like, I mean weird in a good way, interesting lumberjack folklore. The squonk was specifically supposed to said to live in Pennsylvania's hemlock forest, which is why it's specifically Pennsylvania state cryptid. And it is a creature, picture it roughly if a guinea pig and a Shar-Pei had acne and mange at the same time with webbed feet. And it is a cryptid that is so ugly. All it does is cry over how ugly it is. And you can never catch one because if you try to catch it, it will dissolve into a puddle of its own tears.
Oh, I just want to love it
No
though.
days like that, right?
Poor
Poor little
Pennsylvania, we get the depression cryptid. But it's really sweet to see how this Squonkapalooza festival has sprung up. I actually am friends with the guy the people who founded it because we know each other from other Comic-Con circles. It's been growing and growing and gaining traction every year. And they actually people love the Squonk. They hold compliment contests at Squonkapalooza of who can give the Squonk the best compliment. And
That's your new baby.
Oh, the next baby. Oh gosh.
Yes. Oh my God. I want you to make one so bad.
If I can figure out how to make things out of silicone soon, that's definitely what that needs to be made out of. He needs to have a viscous texture.
I was gonna say,
like acne and
crap, do I have it? No, I don't have him near me. He's on the other side of my studio. I used to sculpt analog with actual polymer clay and then make a silicone mold and cast in resin to make make my figures. Now I've taught myself digital sculpting on Nomad on my iPad. The learning curve is steep and I'm still on it. But one of the first thing I made of sustenance was a squonk because I got to take the pressure off myself to make it look pretty. So I 3D print these squonks and I paint the figures nice and I set them in a little resin puddle of their own tears. And it's so funny when I have them at shows. A lot of people in PA will recognize what they are, but it's like a 50-50 reaction when I have the squonks on my table because 50% of the people are like, oh my God, is that a squonk? And then the other 50% are like, what the heck is that thing? And then I tell them the story and they're like, aw.
Now I need one because I feel bad for it.
exactly.
It just needs mom. Come here a little bit.
Love
Hi.
It is cool. Like cryptids have definitely in the last couple of years entered a renaissance. Especially because I've been doing, fantasy cons and comic cons long enough that I have seen the rise of the cryptids.
That's the next.
That sounds like a great book.
Horror movie title, yeah, The Rise of the Cryptids. Oh, yeah. No, it's funny. I think COVID. I think that's really the time, at least for me, when I started to deep dive into cryptids because I had nothing better to do. It was so entertaining. Mountain Monsters was on. I had Finding Bigfoot. There was 12 Bigfoot shows on Discovery. I'm like, game on. we are going as far into this weird rabbit hole as possible, and I've never come back out.
I think also the rise of of shows like Stranger Things, where spooky is cool now, nerdy is cool now.
Yeah. And I mean, I think they even use that with Wednesday too, because they are bringing that. Yeah, have some of the cryptid monsters in that. So, well, if the cryptids were among us, what do you think you'd be getting wrong about them?
Ooh.
Oh, geez. Oh, you're asking me to ask my characters, hey, what am I getting wrong about you? Because it's a plot point in the story. I had them off. I've had the foresight to bring them over here. I made standees of the two main characters to have at my booth. So I do have Cleo, who's the chupacabra.
Oh my gosh, so cool.
Oh my God. I love it.
If you notice, she's
so bad.
So I don't think I actually said what the premise of CryptoZoo is. Let me say that real quick so there's context. So the premise of CryptoZoo is the creatures of the X-Files meet the fourth wall wit of Deadpool as a plucky, blood-sucking chupacabra searches for her missing adoptive Sasquatch father, who has disappeared in New York City at the hands of nefarious cryptid hunters. So she reluctantly teams up with the one and only Jersey Devil, who teaches her how to pretend to be a human. So together they can blend in the concrete jungle, save the Sasquatch, and stop a cataclysmic prophecy from the Mothman. Because as it turns out, Cleo's Papa, as she calls him, is not just a Sasquatch. He is the male Sasquatch immorted. And then Jersey Devil, and he's called JD in the book. So I got the name JD at the same time I was writing this. It was totally unrelated. It just works too well to call the Jersey Devil JD. But I swear it was not a self-insert fix like my creative writing class in college thought I was writing. But so the JD, he is also an immorted. He's one of these immortal projects, but he's the only one of his kind. And for plot reasons, you'll find out. But as she's like, okay, we gotta, try to find Papa, his other name is Aristotle. We gotta find Aristotle because if he gets seen by a human, then all Sasquatch will be rendered animal. And that's gonna cause Mothman saw that's gonna cause a snowball effect of more and more cryptid species becoming discovered, and then the end of like their society, of the world, more or less. But as she comes to learn, she basically goes she knows JD because okay, once a month he crashes at our little cabin and they drink, and when I got old enough I started joining him, and she's like, he's kind of a jerk, I don't like him, I tolerate him because apparently somehow he's friends with my dad. But when the Sasquatch Papa disappears, she's like, okay, I volunteer to go, I'm immortal, so it's like slightly less dire stakes. I'm mortal, so I could die, but my species will be safe. But JD's the only one that chimes in to help her, and so part of the thread of the story is they have to learn to get along. And she finds out that he has a whole human Sona. So this is the Jersey Devil's human form, and he's like a business tycoon in New York. And that's the joke when she finds wait, you're telling me the Jersey Devil doesn't live in New Jersey? And so he gives her the guide, okay, this is what you gotta do to pretend to be human. And of course she has shenanigans because this is why I have a this is her fully human. But she's learning the ropes of glamour, so when she loses concentration, some spines come up, her ears might get a little longer, her teeth might get a little longer, so it is an art to be learned. And so it's about her trying to survive New York and find her missing dad.
I'm obsessed with that the Jersey Devil didn't want to be a piney anymore and got the hell out of here. That's brilliant. I'm sorry.
He has his reasons. He gives her a spiel. He's been Forrest Gumping around a while and doing a couple different things over various lifetimes because he has to, fake his death every now and then to not let humans know that he's not what he appears to be.
So good.
Yeah.
I know that you kind of been mentioned about doing tarot collaborations.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see cryptids as archetype like tarot cards?
Funny you should mention that because I did do a cryptid deck with people. And I did the 7 of Swords, which in that group it was so that particular group is Cat Stealers Tarot. They always do their tarots collaborative, so each card done by a different artist, and they also do them crowdfunded for charity. So they're always limited run. And all proceeds after production go to a charity, and they pick a charity that's on theme. So I helped them on a dragon, the dragon one, and we did an environmental protection charity because it's instead of doing the traditional pentacles, wands, cups, and swords, I remember them. That it was they basically renamed the suites after elements. So it was air, earth, fire, water. And they did a similar thing with the cryptid deck. They renamed the suites into elements. And I did the 7 of Swords, 7 of Air, the Jersey Devil, because they encouraged us because it was a global effort, artists all around the world. They asked us, please pick folklore and cryptid and legends from your own background. So there was a huge variety, and even some myths and legends and creatures I wasn't familiar with in the deck. And and for that particular deck, the cryptid deck, it was called A Folk and Fable, and I still have some copies in my shop. They're out of print, they were limited run, but we artists were allowed to get extras at the end, so I do have some in my shop available if you missed the original crowdfunding. But I do have the second dragon deck, the one I did this card for too, in stock. But once they're gone, they're gone. I can't reorder them because, like I said, they were limited run. But for the cryptid deck, which was Folk and Fable, it went to the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. Dragon Deck, I went to an environmental protection charity. I unfortunately forget which one. I previously helped them on a Pokemon deck, and it went to an animal sanctuary in Texas. And then I know before my time, they did a Full Metal Alchemist deck. And if you're, for those unfamiliar, Full Metal Alchemist is a very, very, very good and very popular anime manga. And the main character has what's called automail. It's basically mechanized prostheses. And so the charity they picked for that was prostheses for kids.
That's so.
So that's yeah, no, I always considered it an honor to when I'm included in my art. Like I've chosen among the many artists that apply to be able to contribute. And I do laugh because if I had a nickel for every time I did 7 of Swords with that group, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
It is. What are they trying to tell you?
But yeah. So yeah, no, like and then my sister cousin Janine, she also is into spiritualism and alternatives, like new age stuff. And she actually is a trained Reiki master, and she does animal and oracle card readings too. So that's how I know a bit of it from her.
Very cool. I know you kind of answered my question about if you had to assign a tarot card to a particular, to like Mothman, Sasquatch, or the Chupacabra, what would they be and why? I think you kind of answered because you put the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, that was they kind of had like there were art directors for that project, so they were the ones that kind of picked what cards correspond to which cryptids.
Okay.
I know everyone fought to do Mothman, and I think Mothman is a major arcana card in that deck. I think he was the moon. I can't remember. I would have to go off screen to grab a deck to flip through them. But it was interesting to see all the different like variety, like I said. And again, they asked us artists like, please draw from your own ethnic backgrounds and like bring your own symbolism and stuff to the cards. So like for the 7 of Swords Jersey Devil card, which I got to sneak in my version of the Jersey Devil, JD, because I draw him a little bit more deer-like. So tined antlers. And so for that particular tarot deck, they didn't want us to like, don't put 7 swords in the image, like do like 7 something, like don't make it obvious it's swords. So I did 7 tines on the antlers.
Oh, cool.
Still good for poking and stabbing.
Deer are scary. In our when my husband and I will walk the dogs, because Pittsburgh deer and Johnstown deer in Pennsylvania, they give 0 craps. You can walk right up to them. We call them the tall dogs. They're that chill.
That makes me think of, can I pet that dog?
Right. Oh my gosh. We had a field that always had a ton of deer in it on my grandfather's property, and they were so chill at one point. You could just drive down and we'd roll down the windows, go, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, and see how long it took them before they bolted. But they're so cool when you get up close to them.
There was one time, because I have corgis. I have 2 corgis now, but my previous corgi, and this is when I was in the woods in Johnstown, I had my corgi Belle, and we had a long driveway to get to the mailbox. So I was walking with Belle, and my little corgi was waddling through the grass, and she was used to the deer. Like, she wasn't bothered by them. She didn't try to chase them. She's just like, okay, the deer's over there. And there was a mama doe grazing in the grass, and I was on my way to the mailbox, and then I see the doe lock on my corgi, and she does the stamp. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh crap, it's fawning season. The fawn must be nearby. So I had to run between my dog and the doe and did the Chris Pratt Velociraptor. Yelled at the dog to get back in the house. She listened to me, but the mama was like, bucking her head and stamping at me. And I was like, oh guys, this is going to be like the second time I'm in the ER in 2 weeks for an animal related incident.
Oh no.
I was like, what's the first?
Dog chomp by my own dog by accident.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Fun fact, if you get bit by a dog, even if it's your own dog, you get a free tetanus shot.
Oh,
Yay.
those hurt. Those hurt like hell too.
Oh yeah. And this was a Roddy.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Ow. That's painful.
Yeah, where do you think the ears came from?
You're turning.
I've always been a huge animal fan. Right now, now that I'm married, my husband has given me a limit, but we have 2 corgis in 3 aquariums, and one of the aquariums has 2 axolotls.
No freaking way. That's so cool.
Yep. And one of the ones I have, they're Aussie.
Little clear looking guy.
They're the salamanders with the feathery gills. Yep.
Yeah.
And they're not naturally clear. They're actually natively they are a brown, olivey, muddy color. Like that's how they're in nature the color they're supposed to be. There's a lot of albinoism and leucism being dyed albino. There's some pigment in the eyes and freckles, but and now there's like all different kinds of color morphs because they became very big in the pet industry. So lots of fancy breeding of them. But so I have Ozzy, who is a melanoid axolotl, so he's black, and then I have Fizz, who is leucistic, so he does have color in the eyes, but he also has the GFP gene, so he glows under black light.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And some of that is byproduct of axolotls are they are unfortunately they're only native to the lake under Mexico City, like that one specific lake. And unfortunately they are either highly endangered or outright extinct in the wild. There are efforts to reintroduce them back into the wild after some cleanup and stuff, but they're not in threat of true extinction because they are A, very popular in the pet trade, and B, they are bred in colonies for research because they have perfect cellular regeneration. You can cut off a limb, cut off a gill, cut off a tail. They'll regrow it back. You could transfer organs between them and they don't reject them. They can even regrow parts of their spinal column. So there's a lot of study into them. So they breed lots of colonies of them. So that's why that's where the fluorescent GFP gene got into the pet the pet stock of them.
Awesome. Just in case we need to make people know that.
Cryptids are cool, but there's also a lot of known animals that are just straight up weird and cool.
Really weird and cool, yes.
Yeah. I was like, it sounds really cool to have like that be glowing under a black light, but then you're like, that was really done by humans, not nature per se.
We are discovering now that some animals do glow in wavelengths we don't see. Like I think shark, like I said, they discovered platypi can glow under black light naturally. Same with some species of sharks now. and for like I said, I'm a huge animal nerd. Before I got bit, when I was tiny, before I got bit by the writing and art bug, I wanted to be a paleontologist or zoologist or marine biologist. So now I just use all that nature animal nerdy fodder for writing. And I'll have this be my last point because it is getting long in the tooth tonight. I don't want to keep you all on too long. But like case in point, like I love creature design and designing creatures, and I love even with its mythical creatures like chupacabras, I love drawing from real animals and such. So with the chupacabra, there's a couple different versions of it in folklore and sightings. Like there's the original Puerto Rican version, which is like a bipedal, bug-eyed green alien with reptilian skin and single row of spines in the back. And then as the sightings and stories spread beyond Puerto Rico into other parts of Latin America, Mexico, Southwest US, people started seeing a more canine-esque creature and calling it the chupacabra, like a furless, gray-skinned, very pronounced, gaunt creature. And that's the one that's probably maybe a fox or coyote with sarcoptic mange that's being misidentified. Yeah. So for my chupacabras in Crypto Zoo, I leaned more on the canine version, but I threw in I like the idea like the bipedal and the hopping because they said like the reptilian version could hop, so I made them marsupials. So they got the springy hind legs and they have pouches where they carry their pups, and that's where Cleo gets her glamour ability by being gifted a feather from the Mothman because she doesn't naturally have the ability to do it. So Mothman gives her a feather like, here, this will help you put on a human disguise. So she stows that in her pouch. Natural pocket. But and then I also threw in that they're pack oriented. They live in packs and they share blood rations because one of the only animals in the animal kingdom other than humans to have shown true altruism are vampire bats, because they will, if there's members of their colony that are sick or unable to, like, too young, too old, whatever reason they can't go out and feed, because any creature that's on a liquid diet, like bats or hummingbirds even, they have such high metabolisms that if they don't eat repeatedly and frequently, they will die. Like I think vampire bats, I think like it's like a night or two without feeding, they'll pass away. But so I've incorporated that though. So yeah, so vampire bats, they'll go out and feed, and then they'll come back and bring blood to their, the ones that weren't able to find food, and regurgitate blood kisses to them. So I incorporate that into my version of chupacabras. That they're very pack oriented. They share their meals like that.
I love it so much. Character design is so fun, and I love the spin that you took on it. They're so well educated. I love your process. I totally relate to it. When I was doing my chupacabra, I went the opposite direction, which is so fun. So many possibilities when it comes to stuff like this. Like mine's the green alien version with the vampire bat face. So
Yeah.
they're both easily identifiable as a chupacabra, which is just awesome.
They're both valid.
Yeah, they're so fun though. Like I love
Being
it.
a chupacabra is a spectrum.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, like they're distant cousins, maybe.
Exactly.
That's so
They're
fun.
like in the same tree. Kind of like how we are like Homo sapiens sapiens, and then maybe the, what do you call them? I'm drawing a blank.
Neanderthals.
Huh? Yes.
Neanderthal.
Is that, or the Homo florens,
Neanderthals.
like the little hobbit ones.
Florenses, Hobbit Florenses. There's Denisovians.
Yeah.
I've been actually listening to a lot of paleoarchaeology, like human paleoarchaeology lately, and apparently, like they found like through genome sequences, like we can speculate there's like maybe one or two other human species we just don't have fossil evidence for based on the modern genomes.
So cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I always found like humans have been around for 50,000 years. Very little of it's recorded. Like I want to know like what happened in that weird like unrecorded history.
The Atlanteans took it with them.
Yeah.
Or the lost continent of Mu.
Who? What's the Irish one? Oh man,
Tiernanog.
maybe. No, there's
Tiernanog, the
there's a
Fae.
surprisingly large amount of civilizations that just disappeared. I'm like, they took all the good stuff with them and left us to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Unless it's in a Hall of Records under the Sphinx.
It could be.
I love the Assassin's Creed games. In Assassin's Creed Origins, which is the ancient Egyptian one, there is a secret chamber under the Sphinx you can find.
They said that there are chambers, they just can't get to them because they think they're flooded. But they have like ground penetrating radar in the area, and LiDAR scans, and there is definitely cavities up there.
It's like how we kind of know where the Emperor Qi, the first emperor of China's tomb is, but we can't enter it because mercury, lots and lots and lots of mercury.
Mercury, right? It's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Yeah.
but regardless, we've done it again, and we are now full circle back to when we started the show with mummies.
Yeah.
I was going to say in the not the most current mummy that I just saw, but the one before with Tom Cruise, they surrounded that mummy in mercury. So I'm like, I love when people actually do their research and incorporate it into the literature and the stuff that comes out of it. So thank you for doing your due diligence. It makes just listening to it so fun, and I want to tear that book. I want it to be right now.
I would love to hear your thoughts once you read it.
Yes.
Please ping me. The voice actresses Pam and Janie, they got fully invested, and they were like, "We have this theory of what's going to happen," and like all that stuff, and they're on board for the rest of the series, which I'm happy for. I am working on the sequel. The direct sequel to this is the next book is called Crypto City. It is my goal. I'm revising the outline because due to like some butterfly effect editing that happened in this volume, it like trickled and I had to revise a bunch of stuff in part 2. But so I'm working on the revised outline now. My goal is hopefully a late 2026, early 2027 release. It's going to depend on how long it takes to polish and edit it, because I don't want to rush it.
Right.
Age it like a fine wine. But it is my goal. Like, this is going to be at least a 3-book series. It might be 4. It's going to depend on how long the last part is. But after part 2 of this, it's a 2-year time jump in the story. So during that pause, I am going to work on my dragon story and get that one out.
Nice.
Amazing. I'm very
Well,
happy for you. It's so exciting.
yeah,
Thank
where
you.
can folks find all of your stuff?
You can find me on social media and online as Painting Dragon Feathers. In fact, I now have the domain name linked to my website now, paintingdragonfeathers.com. You can find all my artwork for sale. You can get author-signed copies of CryptoZoo directly from me, but you can also get it from any of the big dogs, or you can support your local mom and pops bookshops and get them to get it, or you can request your libraries to get it too. It is available through many channels. I will say the audiobook is exclusive to iTunes, Audible, and Amazon.
Okay.
But yeah, you'll see on my website and on my social media, I list what shows I appear at person, because I travel around to different shows, various, like I said, conventions. Next show I'm going to be at, actually, is the Jersey Devil Fable Festival in Asbury Park.
We'll be there too.
Yeah, we gotta do that. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, are you your Beastie Babies?
What was that? Yes, my
Are you- Okay, cool. I know the window has passed for Swankapalooza this year, but there is also Cryptid Con that happens. They moved from this year, they're moving from Louisville or Lexington, Kentucky up to Indiana. It's a little bit shorter distance for me now, but that's a fun con too. That's like a catch-all cryptid con.
Indiana, you say?
Yeah, I'll message you the deets in the group chat. But yeah, because I saw you do cryptid crafts, and I'm like, I haven't seen you before. The World Oddities Expo is going to be a lot of fun too. And like I said, like I said, the 2026 has already been booked, but keep your eye on Squonkapalooza.
Okay, definitely. Yeah,
I highly recommend that one.
So I'm ready to dive in. This is my year of exploring the different vending, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, as I say, Mothman Festival is on my bucket list to both attend and vend, but it is very competitive to try to get into Mothman, though.
I'm doing the West Virginia Bigfoot Festival, so I at least hope to pop by the Mothman Museum while I'm there.
Cool.
So, you're so cool. It's awesome.
Yeah, you guys have been lovely. Like I listened to some of your backlog, and like you guys are funny and like have fun takes on stuff.
Thank you. Well, just one second. I wanted to thank the ladies in the chat as well. Thank you for stopping in to see us, Holly and Laura. I always appreciate it. Love your comments, and thank you for tuning in with us.
Hello, disembodied people.
We wanted to talk about really quickly at the end just about this Spooky Sisterhood book fair.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Good job.
Yeah,
You remembered.
I did this Saturday. JD is part of that, and is it going to be Crypto Zoo is going to be the book that's on there?
Yes, as our previous correspondence, the way it should work is I gave you a special code. It will direct you to my website. If you punch in the code, you will not only get a discount on CryptoZoo, you'll get an extra bundle of goodies involved too. Because I like all books, because I am extra. I do include some extra like mini prints when people buy the books, but I have other extra goodies too. I like to gift out, like character sheets.
Oh, I love that.
So a special the code. I say so the code will be announced via the spooky. What is it? How's it? Is it spook? Not scholastic. Spooktastic. Spooktastic. And my code, because I know people life happens. My code will be valid from this Saturday till end of July.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a human. I forget stuff. I try to afford the same amount of great stuff.
I know it's supposed to be slated for just Saturday, but I have a feeling we'll probably extend that out so that people have an opportunity. It's supposed to be like the scholastic book fair of the day, when they used to get all excited about the book fair is coming to school.
Adult book fairs. adult book fairs are becoming a thing, like more of a thing. I've done a couple here in Pittsburgh that have been a lot of fun that were geared as adult book fairs, like adult
Yes,
school.
please.
And
So
we just took a spooky twist on it and made
heck
sure
yeah.
that every author there is kind of in that spooky genre. So if you go to, I think if you just pull up Spooky Sisterhood .com, you should be able to get there. I think the full thing is the Secret Society of the Spooky Sisterhood, but we just go with Spooky Sisterhood.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I have a closing that I would love to say before we close out. Is there anything else that you wanted to promote before we kind of end, JD?
Keeping awesome, create cool stuff. Like I always like to, at my writing panels, I always like to encourage people like, hey, go forth and create cool stuff. Like
I love that.
art, writing, tabletop gaming, video games, whatever you do.
Yes.
Keep it creative. So, and now the fire burns low. Stories have been told, and the shadows have stretched a little bit closer, and whatever was listening may still be there. Tonight, we had JD Donnelly stopping by, beyond the veil into the world of where the Mothman is more than an omen, where the chupacabra has a voice, and where the line between monster and misunderstood begin to blur. Maybe the question was never, do they exist? Maybe the real question is, why do they stay hidden? And if they're still out there, watching from the forest, the skies, the spaces in between, who should be afraid of who? As we leave the hearth tonight, carry this with you. Not everything unseen is gone. Not everything that is hidden is lost. And not every story is just a story. So keep your senses sharp, keep your mind open. And if you feel a quiet pull from the darkness, don't look too quickly. You might not like what looks back. Until next time, stay curious, stay protected, and stay just a little bit haunted.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.